Okay, here I am at the trailhead. We're in Joyce Kilmer Slick Rock Wilderness for just a 1-day, 1-night backpacking trip. I'm not doing too many miles. I'm starting here, and I'm going to go down the Big Fat Gap Trail to Trail 42, which goes along the North Carolina-Tennessee border and is a creek. It's Slick Rock Creek, and there's good wild trout fishing here. So I only have about a 2-mile hike downhill. I'm gonna camp probably right about at this junction, and then fish up the creek all day, and we'll have a good time. Right now, can I flip my camera? No. I'm wearing an orange hat right now because it's bear hunting season. There's actually a little dog back there in the back of that truck, and as you can see, there are a lot of cars at this trailhead, so maybe I'll run into people. I packed really heavy today because I'm only hiking 2 miles, so I even brought a little chair to sit at the fire. So it should be a pretty comfortable trip. We'll see how it goes. I've been here a lot of times before, so when I'm doing a camping trip alone, I like to come to places that I've been before. It just adds a little bit less anxiety because you know your area. So I'll check back in. You're in Citico when you run into a bunch of this junk. Luckily, there's usually an easy way around. All right, we're officially in the woods. We're hiking. This pack is real heavy, mainly because I started working out in the gym again, and my legs are pretty sore. So a heavy pack on that is not so good. But that's the benefit of having a low mileage day. I don't have to be in the pain for so long. So one major thing that I mentioned before about this trip is that we are hiking alone. We are camping alone. To be honest, that's not something I really like to do. Nor do I think that's something a lot of people like to do. But there's two factors to this that we have to overcome if our hobby is backpacking. Number one, the most practical one. Your crew isn't going to want to go backpacking with you every weekend that you want to go backpacking. Perfect example for me is this one. None of my friends are available. Number two, you need to, well, you don't need to, but you get the additional benefit of mentally strengthening yourself by camping alone. I mean, hiking alone is easy. Fishing alone is easy. It's when the sun goes down, it starts to get cold, and you realize you gotta sleep out here. Is at least for me, when things start to get not so fun. So the way I look at it is, the more you do it, the easier it'll get. So that's what we're on to. So I've hit a junction, and I've found this really nice campsite. I should remember this, but I'm a bit lost at this point. I started heading down that way, which is the direction of Slick Rock Creek, and I got caught up. So then I turned, and you can't see it anymore, but there was a lot of smoke coming from down that way. So I think at the trail junction I just came to, I need to take a left instead of a right. But it's good that I found this campsite, and honestly it wouldn't be Citico Wilderness if you didn't get lost at least once. In these United States wilderness areas, they do not mark the trails, so it's very easy to get lost. You can kind of see the smoke over there. Guarantee you that's some of these campfires. So it looks like we're gonna get to talk to somebody. Okay, here we are at the place where I think I want to camp. I've camped here twice before. We ended up finding our way, and I found the people who had the fire, but I couldn't really make it to their campsite to go talk to them without seeming creepy. So I just looked over. It's a big group of people with a giant tent. That had to be tough to hike out. And now I've spotted something. I'm wondering what this is here. Oh, it's like a liquor bottle stuck in the ground. We'll have to hike that out. Welcome to Citico. But this is a pretty nice site. I don't remember all these rhododendron being here though. I remember being pretty close to the water. But either way, you get the water noise. It'll be nice. I might set my tent up just right here. I think it'll be really good. Okay, so priority number one, getting at camp, is trying to eat because it's 1 o'clock. That wasn't necessarily a hard hike. My body's a little bit sore, but it's important to stay full when you're out here. I notice the times that I get depressed or want to go home when I'm out in the woods like this is when I realize I haven't been getting my nutrients. So what do we got? Some beef jerky, and then I'll probably make up a thing of ramen just to warm up, some good soup. And I got some Cheez-Its. Maybe I'll eat these Cheez-Its if I'm so hungry. But how to cook the ramen? Well, I just use a little butane fuel source, and should be in my pocket, my little stove. Super light backpacking stove. You can pull up these arms. And check it out. Put your bowl up there and get the fuel going and you're cooking. So time to eat. One of the worst parts about Citico is undoubtedly the yellow jackets right there. Now, right where I was about to set up my tent, right over there is where I decided I would. I saw a hole in the ground, and I thought, I bet that's a yellow jacket hole. So I kind of stood and stared at it for a second. Well, sure enough, some yellow. Well, the video turned off when I tried to flip around the camera. So sure enough, after I stomped on the hole, I thought it was just where the liquor bottle was coming out when I came here. I might check the video to see. Maybe they used that bottle to actually plug up the hole. But now there's like 10 yellow jackets flying all around. I think I just riled them up because I was stomping along their hole. It's kind of too cold for them. So, like even the one that landed on the rock, they're not really flying around. They're stopping and resting. So they'll probably go back in their hole, but that is the number one thing to worry about in Citico before you put your tent down. Rustle the leaves around, look around, and see if some yellow jackets come out, because they probably will. Okay, here's my glamping setup. First of all, the chair. This is my first time using it. I bought it as a birthday present for myself, and that's a game changer. Second of all, my tent. I never sleep in a tent, but I brought it because it's gonna get cold tonight, and I wanted the extra heat. Plus, you know, sometimes it's just nice not to sleep on the dirt with the leaves and the bugs and the crawlies. But it's heavy, so that's why I don't do it. And then lastly, look, 2 sleeping bags. Also kind of heavy, but these are both like fluffy down bags. But I'm gonna sleep warm and toasty tonight. This to me is truly glamping. This is just awesome. Now we're in fishing mode. So I'm walking up Slick Rock Creek now, or up the trail, and we'll poke out every now and then to see if we find any good spots. But really, the place I'm aiming for is a waterfall called Wildcat Falls. With the style of fishing I do, it would be beneficial to me to camp in or fish in those deep waters. So while I was walking on this trail, I passed the campers that made the fire that got me unlost. They were real nice, bunch of older guys. I was hoping they were going to be older guys because sorry, I just lost the trail. I was hoping they were going to be older guys because they might go to bed early and be more quiet. But they got a ton of firewood and they're just doing it up, having a good time. So let's get to fishing. Hopefully I catch something. Okay, so we've been fishing along the way with no bites, but it's okay because we've officially come to our destination, Wildcat Falls. There's more waterfalls down there, but this is where the deep water is. This is where we wanted to come to fish. So we're gonna hang out here for maybe an hour. I think it's like 3:15. So we have enough time to get back before dark and get firewood and see what we can get. Hopefully we can get some trout to eat for dinner. Okay, no trout, but that's okay. I didn't really get to fish for too long because the sun's going down. I gotta head back, get firewood, and start relaxing. But number two, I kind of half expected this because it's not trout season. So, oh, and number three, I'm also a bad trout fisherman. So, either way, having a great time. Okay, so I'm back from Wildcat Falls, and I've gotten back, took a second to relax, and now I'm collecting firewood. Well, I've actually just completed collecting firewood because it's now dark. My toxic camping trait is I'm kind of a beaver when it comes to having enough wood. For some reason in my mind, it's just impossible to have enough wood. But in this instance, it's a positive toxic trait because number one, I never run out of wood. Number two, I get to leave wood for the next person, so they're ready to rock and roll. And number three, and maybe most importantly, it gives you something to do, which is one I want to talk about once I get the fire going and once I get relaxed. Yes, I'm making fire the easy way. But hey, this is supposed to be a relaxing trip. I don't have too many little sticks. That I kind of slacked on, so we'll see how this goes. Should be okay. Everything is a little bit wet too, so I might have a hard time getting it going, but once it does get going, we will not be able to stop it. So what I wanted to talk about was that collecting firewood gives you something to do. And at least for me, that's something that's really important, especially while camping alone. You can't get bored, essentially. If you find yourself just sitting around, you're gonna start to get issues. You know, you're gonna start to have anxieties creeping up in your head. But at least for me, when I'm working, I really only think about positive stuff, and if I do start thinking about negative stuff, it goes away pretty quick. If I had to give anybody advice, if I was forced to, I'm definitely not qualified to. If they were depressed, like a depressed person, I would say get into backpacking. Because when you backpack, you have to do everything, but it's more simple. Like you have to have a house, you know, your tent. You have to make it. You have to put it on your back. You have to like pack the night before and organize it. When you get to camp, you have to set it up. You have to do everything, and it's really rewarding, at least to me, to do that stuff. You have to collect firewood. You have to make a fire, and then you get to enjoy the spoils of your work. You get to relax. You get to eat some good food. It's really great. I really wish more people would utilize the outdoors. But it's on the up. For example, I mean, you saw the parking lot at the beginning of the video. There's tons of people out here, and this is kind of an unpopular wilderness area with no trail marking. So things are going good. Okay, so it's about dinner time, and we unfortunately have the meal of shame, Dinty Moore beef stew, because I didn't catch any trout, some mashed potatoes, and a little bit of Cheez-Its, and of course, a nice beverage to go with it. So, personally, I am not too upset about this dinner. I haven't had Dinty Moore beef stew in a long time, and I really do enjoy it. So we're gonna crack this can and throw it right in the fire to heat her up. That's usually usually how I like to do it. Okay, the Dinty Moore is gone. I actually spilled some of it, which sucks, but it was great. And it's gonna leave me enough room in my stomach to eat a whole pound of Idaho and 4 cheese mashed potatoes, which I'm boiling the water for right now. All right, I got my food hung up in a tree and tied off to that tree. We're kind of in cleanup mode now, and after that, all there's to do is read my book and tend to the fire. So I'll see everybody in the morning. All right, good morning. Pretty good sleep last night. It did get pretty cold. The inside of my tent is frozen. A lot of condensation. It was a good thing I brought 2 sleeping bags because this one is pretty wet. Not soaked, but wet from condensation. And that's another reason I like to use tarps, because usually condensation isn't so much of an issue. At least it isn't so bad that it's just dripping on your sleeping bag, which could be a dangerous situation if it got too bad. This is pretty much just on the surface. But still, I can feel it. It's still pretty wet. So good thinking bringing 2. Now I'm gonna have some coffee, I'm gonna pack up, and we're gonna head home. I still have some coals from last night, so I'm gonna see if I can try to get a little morning fire to stay warm while I make my coffee. That would be nice. I wish I'd filmed this, but I kind of need to focus on it. So I'll check back later. I was looking back at some of the video that I filmed for this trip, and I realized one thing I said, which might get some people a little bit riled up. I said that the #1 worry for me out here are yellow jackets. Bees. That's funny. I could see a lot of people instantly thinking, aren't you afraid of the bears? That's probably the #1 thing people bring up when I talk about camping in the backcountry is, oh my gosh, watch out for those bears. Make sure you carry a gun. Well, bears to me, at first, when I first started camping, I was very afraid of bears. Whenever I heard any noise in the night, I would freak out. If I had any smell on me, which, I still don't leave any smells on me, but if I accidentally left my toothpaste inside my pocket, I would freak out all night. I'd have to get out and go put it up in my bear bag. But over time, you start to realize a trend. I don't see bears around here. I don't really see bear scats. If you do, it's pretty old. You just don't see them around here. It kind of gets to the point where you want to see one for the fun of it. Maybe get a picture of it just to experience such a cool animal. The fact is, at least in Citico, if you're in the Smokies, it's a little bit of a different game because, well, I'll get to that in a second, but in Citico, you can hunt the bears. So their population is controlled, which is a really good thing. And it also makes them really timid to humans, and especially dogs. Because the way bear hunting works is the dog goes way out and finds a bear and trees it, and then the hunter comes down and kills it. I was surprised I didn't run into a hunting dog this weekend. Usually around this time you will. At least last time I was here, last year I did. A couple of them, more than one. So they're hunted, and then they're already pretty rare to see. Now in the Smokies, it's a different game because the bears aren't hunted, so they can very easily get used to humans, and they can easily get overpopulated. That's a problem of its own. But even with that, getting attacked by a bear is so rare. I think only 2 or 3 people have ever died in this area from a bear attack. And then the people that survived, it's not, bear attacks they rarely happen. If you're afraid of a bear attack, you just can't operate in the world, because there's a much more dangerous scenario of just driving your car. You have a way higher chance of getting in a horrible accident than you do getting attacked by a bear when you're hiking. So, if you're like me, all the statistics in the world would never save you, because just the thought of getting mauled by a bear is enough to strike fear in your heart that, you're going to be scared anyway. But as you camp more, you'll start to realize that it's really just a non-issue. Same with copperhead snakes, just don't step on them. Well, I think this is going to be the last video cut. I'm sitting here at the fire enjoying the warmth before I pack all my gear up and start hiking out. It's the least fun, but it's still a fun thing to do. But backpacking for me is a activity where before, the beginning, the middle, and the end are all equally as fun. Whereas most activities, by the end of it, you're sad that it's over. But for these, it's, at least to me, it's very rewarding to end the trip. You're ready to go back once it's done. So everything is enjoyable, except for the super brutal uphill hikes where you're gasping for air. That part is not super fun at the moment, but afterwards you're going to be really proud of yourself that you did it. So I have to do all that. Anyway, I tried to make this camping experience a little bit different than I normally do. I normally just take pictures. This time I tried to do video. Hopefully it's not hyper awkward, but it helped me while camping alone to talk to the camera sometimes about what I was doing and what I was thinking and what I wanted to do. So it personally helped me, and if it helped you by entertaining you, that's great. If this gets no views at all and everybody just scrolls past it, no problem for me. So I'm gonna get out of here, and here's to the next one.